Hello, this is Doctress Neutopia, and this is Lovevolution Village. What is Lovevolution? Lovevolution is this idea I have in my mind that there is this resistance movement that forms in the United States for social justice. And it deals with heart issues, our internal dialogue that we have with ourselves. And this internal dialogue wants to be free. It wants to be able to materialize the kind of world in which love is the basis of the civilization. Right now, we live in a civilization in which money is the currency, is the blood that makes everything rock and roll. It's what people use to bring energy into their lives. And it's this corrupt kind of energy, this money system that we live in. It motivates people to be in relationships that aren't really necessary for the survival of the human species. It causes a lot of money, misery. Well, I started feeling this way early in life. When I went to high school, I was reading books like George Orwell's 1984. And I started realizing, wow, this isn't 1984, it's in the 70s. But this is the society in which I'm living in, this totalitarian nightmare. Even though I was raised in an upper middle class neighborhood and my material needs were met, and I had money to make dreams come true, it wasn't enough to be the good society. There was a lot of social pressure when I was growing up that caused me to feel boxed in. I couldn't really be myself because I had to be a certain way. Now I'm seeing that certain way of being even part of the social networking that you see in places like Facebook. If I act outside of the box, people get upset. If I ask provocative questions, people get upset. Say I'm somehow antisocial or that my behavior is unacceptable. So what we're seeing is that same restriction of personality being imposed on the way we interact on social media. That means that social media does not become a revolutionary platform for this evolutionary personality, this love-evolutionary personality to emerge. And that's very tragic for me, because how else are we going to ever be able to liberate this inner, internal person within us? For the first time in the history of the human species, we have the ability to let this internal self free. And that changes how we see each other. No longer do we have to just look at the external personality and the rituals that go along with this correct behavior. We have a way of seeing how people think. And a lot of times what I'm seeing is I do not like the thought patterns or I'm seeing thought patterns that are confused and not progressive. When I point them out, that's when it becomes difficult for people. Now, why I'm telling you this is because I got defriended over the last 6 months by 3 people that meant something to me. I thought about this week making a big vegan pie with blueberries on it and cacao made of cashews. It's a cashew, quote, cheesecake. And inviting all of the people who have defriended me to come have a piece of this peace pie, and let's try to work out our differences rather than to use defriending and blocking. Now, for you people who do not use social media, this is the way. If you don't like somebody, you just block them out of your life. So we can set up our own little castles here with people that just like us, who think like us, who be like us. I mean, I have different thoughts about this. I mean, I want to be with like-minded people. I enjoy that. I enjoy when I'm connecting with people, we're vibing together, we have the same aesthetic sensibilities, we appreciate the same cultural horizons. We agree on many political issues and spiritual realities. But that's not the way the world works. And perhaps really what I'm trying to say is that I think that there's certain individuals that are on this planet now, and they are basically enlightened to their inner struggles, to the external realities of this oppressive society that we live in. They're politically astute, so they understand about the totalitarian design on our society and the isolation that the individual is experiencing and the lack of community that our culture provides people. That the family system has broken up, that the divorce rate is such that people don't even have one person in their lives to depend on. And that everything goes back to this money system, this cold logicality is what Hannah Arendt called it. What the Nazis did. Everything had this logic to it. If it doesn't have the logic of profit in our capitalist society, then this thing isn't valued and it should be discarded or not given any social role in society. So, this leads me to asking the question of where I am right now. I'm having people defriend me because I am controversial or because I criticize certain thinking, because of this certain enlightenment that I feel that I possess of what the human race needs to do. And I've held this vision for quite some time about needing to build a network of arcologies, these integrated city designs that use our technology to the fullest as an automated society. Most labor-intensive production is done by robots. It's not a war-based society, it's a peace-based society where human beings are finally liberated so they can be artists, musicians, develop internal skills of psychology and child care the way that we've never done it before. Because there's time, we liberated our time. And I see these cities as the means for which this renaissance of humanity can come about. And I also see that the robots can be designed to build these cities in a very short period of time. We are experiencing now, in this logicality culture, this inhumane, cruel society, where robots are now taking over so much of the labor force. There is no place for humans. So jobs are being taken away. Robots are coming in and doing the labor, or the driving, or the being pilots to airplanes. And because our Protestant work ethic and the value system of the 20th and the early 21st century hasn't caught on to this new automated society and what it means for labor, that people are falling in the gutter. They don't have jobs. There are not any jobs except for the elite and for those skilled people who automation is not taking over their jobs. This is why I advocate a universal basic income. For every citizen in the world, you get your basic needs met. So when one is born, part of that birthright is that they receive an account in the Earth Bank, because all the natural resources in this vision that I'm holding would go into this supercomputer Earth Bank world accounting system. And then when somebody is born, you receive an account in that has money in it, the currency. And then you are able to live off of that. And if you succeed in certain things, your account might grow to a certain extent, but not to the extent that you're going to be a billionaire. You know, there's a cap on how much you can make. Just like there's a cap on that there is no poverty line, that everyone has their basic human needs met. There's free medical care for all. There's free education for everybody throughout their lives, lifelong education. And that housing is a human right for all. So it's an ultimate socialistic system. The community is ultimately important because it's what makes us human and is really the only security that we have. And it's what gives us joy. Being in community in this social complexity that community gives allows us to be able to understand the integrated organism of what society really is. As long as we're isolated in a totalitarian situation, and the most communication we do have is through Skype or some internet community, virtual community, it doesn't work. We don't get the kind of integration that we need in order for love to grow. Love, well, there's two parts of love. One, it's local, it's also global and universal. But the local part, that's the part that feeds us. That's the part that plants the vegetables. That's the part that deals with the sewage. The universal love is more this cosmic, theoretical love of infinity, of the universe, of eternity. And it's an important concept. But it doesn't ground us. It's not embodied like the local does, where we can touch each other, where we can care for each other when we're sick. And that's the one that's in trouble now with the technological unemployment. They're not giving people the appropriate wage, a living wage, and that we're not here to figure a way that people can be self-reliant and that they do not need a slave, a wage slave, in order to help them. Okay, there is going to be caring jobs, of course. But things have to come from within the person. It's what they are called to do. It's callings. So one of the questions I'm asking myself is, where was I first introduced to utopian thought? You know, how did I become this idealist, socialist, universalist, a woman who believes in the power of human rights and wants to make a system based on human rights for all? And a woman that really questioned the basic foundation of a capitalist society, the Protestant work ethic. How did I come out and say, I am not going to be a talent prostitute, and I'm not going to be a sex prostitute, and I don't want anything to do with the whole idea of prostitution? It's so hard to resist it because people get, ever since they are infants, that you have to go out and work for a living. And if that job kills you and is unhealthy for you physically and mentally, it does not matter. You need to bring money in for food. And the decent thing to do is to support your family. Now, how did I rebel against that? I'm rebelling against the Protestant work ethic the way it is now. For one thing, it doesn't really exist anymore with the automation that we're living in. Well, I just started seeing what these jobs did, and I thought, God, I don't want to waste my time doing that. Life is not about wasting time. And I realized that I just wanted to be a creative artist. And I wanted to be a teacher. And I wanted to be a lover. And those simple things in life have just been so difficult to achieve. Not so much for me, but for my community, to liberate other people. And I don't think that we can do it without a new architectural design. Now, last night I stayed up late into the night thinking about these issues wondering why people are defriending me. And I started researching about new city designs, this biomimicry in biotecture. There's new words to discuss what is happening with the field of architecture. Amazing things are happening, like walls made out of bacteria. The infrastructure of the skeleton of an architectural structure then has a skin over it of bacteria and living cells. So the whole building becomes this joyous photosynthesis of plants soaking up the carbon dioxide that we have let out this past century, and giving us an architecture that is really aesthetic. And we can do this. We can do this if we stop working in the present system and start working for the ecological city. The plans are out there. The blueprints are out there. What we need is the poetics. And what is this poetics of Lovolution? I've been watching Stuart Brand on promoting his book. He was recently on Amy Goodman. And I think he's got a lot of things straight. It's this inner revolution, it's the outer revolution. But how do I start talking to him about the Lovolution? How do I start coming together with other thinkers who are on this same similar path? If I am not on this network that they're on of celebrity culture, what a dilemma, huh? When I think I have this pearl of utopian philosophy, Neutopia, and perhaps it is one of the keys to this transformation. And this is the critical time. This is the critical time when we need us. We need the vision. We need the social movement. We need the economic structure. All of these different factors have to come together in order for this integration to happen, so we get the holistic picture. And all the players in this new drama of planetary ecological harmony are going to know each other and love each other and be face to face, so that we can be in this global village. It's such a small world now, and it's such a world that is dying. And we've got to stop the tragedy. We've got to not participate in the economic structure. So join me in resisting. Find that way that you can be a Lovolutionary. And I hope you tune in again for another one of Doctress Neutopia's prayers. and meditations on TV. Thank you.